Do you have your lucky angel? Is there an angel that's watching over you, protecting you, there for you? We just learned in the Torah portion, 3 angels coming to Abraham, and they stood over him because they're greater than him. But are angels indeed greater? Or are we greater than angels? Angels can only do one task at a time. They can't multitask because they don't have freedom of choice. They can only do the mission, the particular singular mission they've been given. We can multitask. It may be good, might not be a good thing, but the reason we can do it is because we have freedom of choice. So we can choose from going to the right, going to the left, going up, going down, doing the right thing, or God forbid, the wrong thing. As a result of that, therefore, we have the capability of more than one thing. So we're not like angels. There's once a young man that asked the Rebbe, life is so difficult. It'd be so much easier to be like an angel. So the Rebbe said to him, what gets a greater price in the market? A picture of a beautiful landscape or an artist who made the landscape with his efforts? What's greater? What fetches more? On the one hand, the picture is more perfect than the artist's rendition of that very same landscape because it doesn't change anything. It's exactly the way it is, but yet it gets less money. That doesn't make sense. Because the artist puts their heart and soul into the picture. Well, their heart and soul is worth more than just the lens of a camera, and therefore it fetches more money. So as great as angels are, folks, we're greater. Yes, angels might protect us and do things for us, absolutely, but we're greater. We'll find out more. Welcome to Tanya Today. I'm Rabbi Ronnie, fine, coming to you from Chabad Zich and Kadeshim in Montreal, Canada, where it's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. We continue in the 26th letter. This letter, we're understanding the uniqueness of Torah study in particular, and how through Torah study is the tree of life. And therefore we should hold on to it. What we're doing right now, learning. And we should get more people to come and learn with us. Holding on to the tree of life. And not as the cursory reading or understanding of the Zohar, as the Alter Rebbe explained to us at great length, that people misunderstood that the rest of that there's a division in the Torah. There are the mystical teachings, the Zohar, for example, that is the tree of life. And then there is the Talmudic teachings, the Jewish law, halacha, that is an embodiment of the tree of knowledge and good and evil. And as the Alter Rebbe explains, no, everything is the tree of life. It's all a unity and oneness with God. And not to make a mistake that it is the tree of knowledge of good and evil, which is an admixture of good and evil. But in today's class, the Alter Rebbe now takes this to another level of understanding. No doubt, all parts of the Torah, you study the Talmud, you learn Jewish law. It's the do's and the don'ts. It's not a very, it can be a tedious understanding of, detail after detail as we learn together in Maimonides' teachings. It is God's will. It is God's wisdom, and it's one with God. It's a tree of life. Absolutely. Yet at the same time, when Malchus of Atzilus, the sovereignty, royalty of the world of emanation of God, vests itself in klipas noiga, it's the concept of the spark of God. There are sparks of God that in creation, 288 sparks that fell from the breaking of the vessels in the before creating the physical world.
That's good traction.
That's that's the Big Bang before the Big Bang.
Okay.
It's the big crash.
Theo.
In Tohu, in the world of Tohu, 288 sparks of holiness, Rapach. This is in the spiritual world, before the physical world was created. They, in the world of chaos, crashed. The light was too great and the vessel couldn't contain it. Like, if you were to pour from a barrel of coffee into here, this would go crashing and it would break because it was too much poured in, too much light at that level. And what came from there were sparks, shards of the sparks of godliness that fell into klipa, into the shell that covers over. That's what occurred. So when we speak about Malchus of Atzilus, the last and 10 divine attributes in the world of emanation of Atzilus, relative to the levels beyond it, it, so to speak, is the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Because from there, as Malchus is the word of God, it becomes embedded in the other worlds, Bria, Yetzira, and Asiya. And it finds itself there, the word of God, concealed. The word of God is concealed. Now, when we speak about the word of God, we mean on two levels over here. The word of God, as he creates everything in the world, is concealed. We don't sense openly the divine presence of God in creation. We have to think about it, we have to meditate upon it. We have to perceive more deeply to appreciate the word of God that's being communicated, that is animating the world. But here we're speaking about not the word of God as creation, but the word of God, the wisdom of God, which is Torah. That wisdom of God, right, is now in exile. It's in the shell that's covering over the divine wisdom. This is the idea of the evil man rules over holy man, ultimately to the detriment of evil man. Right. And this is the idea also as the sages were also likened to the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Or rather, they're not likened. They're likened to the Sabbath. The Sabbath is completely holy, but the unsanctified ones who helped them were likened to the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and the mixed multitude likewise. And this is what the Torah scholars did, that to distill from the act of God creating, not just creation, but his divine wisdom. Downstairs is also. Right, to distill the essence of that spark that is hidden in exile, in klipa, in order to disencumber and elevate those sparks. Now, we know this concept that we do it through a material world. I'm saying this parenthetically now because this is not what the letter is speaking about over here. We know that if you have a physical thing, a physical cup with physical coffee, and you make a blessing over it, it's kosher. You make a blessing. What are you doing? You're taking the spark of holiness and you're elevating it. That's the word of God that animates the physical world. But now we're not talking about the word of God that's animating the physical world. And therefore, we need to elevate it through engaging in the physical world. That concept we've discussed at great length. Here we're talking about that the word of God, meaning the wisdom of God that is in his word, that is now hidden, concealed in exile in this world. And the sages of Israel, their chief job was deliberation, argumentation, the laws of permissible, not permissible, pure and impure. Why? In order to disencumber that which is permitted and pure, that which is forbidden and impure, right? Through the deliberation, through the argumentation process, that you will then find the divine wisdom. Crack open the shell to find the divine wisdom in divine teachings, because it has been concealed. So I'll give you a simple example, the idea, electricity. So electricity was something that was discovered, right? So first of all, it's discovered, meaning you have to crack open, right, wisdom of this world to find it. Was it created, the wisdom? No, it was always here. Electricity was always here in this world. Not like, 2,000 years ago, there was no such thing as electricity. Now we have electricity. No, 2,000 years ago, there was electricity in this world. It just wasn't discovered. So it was discovered. Now, in that discovery of divine, of wisdom, God's wisdom in the material world. What we're talking about over here is discovering divine wisdom of Torah teachings that is embedded in this world. So, for example, electricity. What is the divine wisdom on how electricity is applied to Jewish life? In other words, comes the Sabbath, comes a holiday. How do we look at electricity in order to know if we can use it? Can we open a switch on Shabbos? Can we do that or not? Well, it was that wisdom was not known because it was concealed. It wasn't something that wasn't there before. It was always there. Just had to discover it. We had to crack it open. We had to disencumber it from its shell that is cover overing the divine wisdom. This is the Kabbalistic principle of the oral Torah, that it is embedded in klipa and needs to be opened. And this is the whole debate, the discussion, the argumentation between the sages to come to the truth, meaning to crack the shell, to discover the divine wisdom. And this then is the Kabbalistic principle of what the Mishnah vested in Klipas Noiga that corresponds to the world of Yetzirah. And there begins the knowledge of good and evil. Because in the world of Yetzirah, is a world of creation, it's embedded there in Klipa, in that shell. It's concealed. And therefore, you got to break your head through the study to come to understand, elucidate, deliberate, to come to an adjudicated ruling that's based in the times of the Talmud, the Talmudic sages. And later came the codifiers of Jewish law. And likewise today, in whatever new issue or issue that has not been yet discussed. So for this reason, the underlying particle, particular halacha, derives mystically from the sphere of supernal divine wisdom that fell into klipa, the primordial breaking of the vessels, as we spoke about. And in that state of exile, right, the klipa, the shell, rules over, hides the divine wisdom, and we need to reveal it. And that's why, as the Zohar says, that any problematic query emanates from the side of negativity. Because negativity means, evil means hiddenness of God. Doesn't mean evil in you did something, but the state of being that God's presence is covered and concealed, and in exile, that itself is negative, that itself is evil. And therefore, we need then to find, discover, disencumber that spark of divinity that's hidden in the teachings, in the klipa, and to release it. Now, with this, we can understand something amazing. What's amazing? What's amazing is, with this, we can understand angels above. They don't have a power to disencumber. Why? Because we're a soul in a body, and therefore we know the negative side. Because we know the negative side, we can deal with the negative side and disencumber it in ourselves, right? In ourselves, we can do it. And when we do it in ourselves, then we can do it with the divine wisdom. Parenthetically, that's why if you are not a evolved, righteous individual, your opinion of teachings, maybe it is the truth, maybe it's not the truth. But if you didn't disencumber yourself from the negativity within you, then how are you going to come to the truth of God's teachings? That's why Maimonides, Rashi, their Baal Shem Tov, their Rebbe, their teachings we listen to. The Alter Rebbe, our teacher right now, we listen to. Holy people. They disencumbered the negativity from within them. They gave them the capacity to disencumber the negativity of the divine wisdom and see the truth. So their teachings, we know for sure, are the truth. If I say something or you have an opinion, opinion, okay. That's why we need a Rebbe to follow. A holy individual is your teacher. I'm just taking from the holy people and giving it and guiding, right? But it's not, yeah. So we're not on that level yet. We'll see in a moment something very fascinating. Angels don't have the power to disencumber because they are totally connected. They're emissaries of the divine. So they don't have the power to do that. So guess what? They can't subjugate their negative side because they don't have a negative side. That's why these celestial beings, angels, and also souls that are in Garden of Eden, like Rashi and the Rambam, they come to listen to us in our Torah study, or at least to the holy ones, right? Because they will reveal things that they can't reveal because they are a soul without a body. Both the angel above and even the souls that are in the Garden of Eden, right? But we down here, and this is an obligation now, the Alter Rebbe takes it a step further. There's an obligation of every Jew that you have to now engage in such a way Okay, we're not going to be like holy people in the manner that they do it, but on our level, we have to do it too. On our level, we need to do it too. And what is that? We need to disencumber the teachings and find the divine wisdom. This is what we are obliged to reveal the secrets of the wisdom of Torah, to elevate those sparks that are hidden in those Torah teachings, the word of God that we reveal, as the word of God denotes halacha. And this is the Kabbalistic principle regarding Malchus of Atzilus. It garbs itself in the Chachma of Atzilus, garb with the Chatzah, and the Malchus V'Yitzirah, the breaking the vessels into Klipas Neiga. And this is what it means that whoever engages in the study of Torah, I account. Listen to this. This is the kicker. It says, where's this insight in the Talmud? Talmud says, whoever engages in a study of Torah, God says, I account it as if they have redeemed me. God has been redeemed. And my children from among the nations of the world. For Torah study redeems the sparks of the Shekhinah, the word of God that's in exile within Klippa. Wow. So right now we're learning. And this is what we're accomplishing. We redeem God. Why? Because there's a spark of God that's in Klippa. And by redeeming it through our teachings, through the teachings, it means here that we need to learn it in such a manner that we're actually adding something to the teachings. Now, whether it is truly divine or not, I mean, yeah, we have to come to that place that is going to be something, a part of the divine teachings. We have that responsibility. Why is it so hard to sit and study Torah? Well, maybe this will make it a little easier, I hope. I hope so. Well, with this teachings, hopefully makes it easier because we redeem God. Because there's a piece of the divine wisdom of God that's hidden. So even if it's just a little, like you bring it into your own life, for example, the teachings, and you give a nuance to it of understanding that makes it more profound for you, or perhaps more profound for another. And because of that, they appreciate. So, for example, what was taught now, and if you take it and give it to someone else in your own words, and give it to them in a manner that they appreciate it, that's amazing. And especially if you can add something to in the profundity, there might be a new or a different dimension. There's the idea over here. Make it personal in that way, how it applies to me, but also how I am engaged in it in such a personal way that it's an expression of me. That's the duty that we have. It's very powerful. And to that, guess who comes? All the angels and the souls above to hear what you got to say. That's quite something. Now, the more we work on ourselves to break open the shell of klipa and allow the divine spark to be removed and elevated, the more we'll be able to do that in the teachings. The more we stay, the more we're allow the physical material or my own self be, what's the word, front and center, and not the divine self, the more difficult it'll be for you to understand and appreciate the study of Torah. So sometimes the way we can, as the question was over here asked, how can I, why is it so hard to study Torah? Sometimes we might have to look at ourselves more honestly and say that, hey, maybe I'm just a little too sunk into myself, self-directed. Maybe I'm just, or maybe too materialistic. And therefore, it's hard to be able to have divine wisdom be something that is um, um, that is touches you and that touches you and is meaningful to you. If more meaningful to you is a material world,
Contrary.
right? Because they're contrary to each other.
That's pride.
So you need to remove that and make focus on this being the prime mover in your life. It's if your connection to God is a prime mover in your life, Torah mitzvah is the prime mover in your life, then there's a greater chance that the teachings, you'll get it, you'll understand it, that you'll even be able to be innovative in the teachings, which is powerful. You'll be able to discover divine wisdom in the teachings. And of course, God will be based on the Torah, right? So thank you. I hope that helped. Quite powerful.
More of a challenge.
Yeah. The challenge, yes, the challenge is here. 6:30 tonight will be Torah studies. 8 o'clock will be 8 o'clock will be TRC. Do we have any questions here? And Rambam is coming up now. Okay. ARKV. God bless you. All right, folks.
Something on my mind.
I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you from Chabad Zich and Kadesh in Montreal, Canada. It's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. Have an amazing, great day. We'll see you tonight, 6:30, Torah studies. For those who want to know more about TRC, please let me know. Also, we're starting this week the JLI Nurturing Relationships 6-week course. It's going to be phenomenal. If you want more information, reach out to me. Best thing is a private message. That would be the best thing. Okay. Thank you.